True love is the answer. 아자, 코리아. 난토, 지무센, 지fu, Trey Parker sama. Man, I respect your Japanese, bro. I want to do some of that. I was thinking it'd be really fresh to have some Japanese content, man. I want to, return to honor, release Japan from our military presence and help them to build up their personal armor. Wizard armor up from within. We'll be doing all this strength building and stuff. It's for America, but oh boy, Japan's going to be so into the Blue Wolf, Trey Parker. Little Japanese subtitles of the jokes. Something to look forward to. Put that in your cup. Um, But actually, I was just saying, like, I'd really like to actually be to do some of the Japanese for my character. And I love languages. It's just like if I had enough time, I would love to do all of the languages when we're translating things. But I suppose like when I have a particular message to a particular group, we could do that. Like step through each sentence, and I'll like a recording studio. Um, But yeah, Japan and the Trash Island, defeating evil together as a family. Come on, Trey. You know this is your golden ticket. It's about being a great man and providing that there is idea and stamina for America to conquer the turmoils of a world in transition from a communication age into a healthy and authentic robots and AI. Man, Japan's gonna be so lit with this thing. A good friend and a good trustworthy neighbor is Japan. And so we do rightly the Trey Pan Seed and all everyone watching, we extend armor and protection for Japan because we understand their beautiful anime has just been, spewed across the world, and they're getting, some depression and anxiety. But for the first time, an American president, Randolph Pan Williams, has common sense and the ability to understand how to appreciate a neighbor who's a country who's a little bit smaller, but right behind Japan is, oh no, China and the rest of Asia. I mean, whoa, that's like a karmic lesson in a bottle. We do the right thing to for Japan and like a big celebration, and we set us up for peace for the next millions of years between America and Asia. Absolutely, it's going to be a huge event, and we just need to figure out how to snowball it in such a way that how do we optimize and how do we work with all these people at the same time? I'm a director, a VR director, and I will be doing a lot of directing. Part of what, as I'm learning about being a president, and people are going to see that growing in me, and they're going to understand it better when they see, moments of epiphany and like how I'm slated and stuff. It really is a magnificent miracle of Earth that has brought us together. I really do feel that Earth has spoken to Trey about this and is willing this to be so. To produce the green light is to produce the green wolf is good. I just feel, it's a terrible disappointment. I want to speak specifically about Japan. Japan would be like, you know, a warrior and sort of challenges his brother there with Pearl Harbor, whatever. They're going to do a little skirmish, sort of strengthen ourselves. It's from a day when, like, people would understand what I'm saying about, like, can you see that we're slumping towards an argument for war and how we could defeat it with the Enlightenment communication? Okay. That's the type of opportunity you have in this day. And millions of years from now, this type of opportunity will not exist. And they will be like, oh my God, Trey Parker's ascension is like on source code, very powerful for the Earth. You're an important angel of light, Trey. You always have been, you always will be. I know that this is new for you, but that is why it's right, is because your involvement here is authentic and powerful. And what you'll contribute through the blue wolf, and Matt will contribute through his wolf, whose patterns I haven't determined, as well as Brent. And it's going to fan out like that. And we're going to have the ability to involve our friends on a whole new level. And it's a social climb of Trepan seed definition revolution and what's it called? Renaissance. It really has to be for all of these people, right? So it begins though with our group. And so everyone involved in South Park Studios is going to have the opportunity to be a character. And basically that would mean like there'll be a conversation and you'll be watching. And then if you have an idea, it's very organic. But it's sort of my visionary directing style where you can tell I'm blending some different ideas, and what I'm describing really literally has never happened before, has never been done before. But of course, there's never been someone like me who had so much to say before as well. So it's all good on all those different levels. And when we want to have like a reasonable immersion in the information, I really do feel it's so depressing to look at the news today and to understand where people are, you know, and the things they say. And I mean, they're going to a really desperate place where they're talking about awful things that shouldn't be public fodder. It's a disgrace, and it's not okay. The White House is in peril. But I have been noticing how the next phase, or the next, like, for the government to grow up would be for Randolph Pan Williams to become president. I'm seeing that it's like the government as an organism is kind of like, "Oh, it's this little creature." And the American government did a great job of keeping dangerous narratives and information away from the public, which allowed the child to grow up in the wild. So, the authentic um, communication age was sort of protected by the U.S. government, and it's sort of time for the U.S. government to grow up. But it's at the same time as for the American people to grow up and pioneer in robots and AI. There has to be a significant reason um, for why we're making the expenditure of like why are robots, why is this governmental funded extra money cyclone for robot trainers? Why is that happening? For a very good reason. And how do we get there? Through only the golden statues. And so our own communication age receives the rewarding, and people begin to understand, oh, our culture and our music and the pictures that we all share, that's the societal engine. And so we can only get to the place of transcending and freedom of where it opens up, where we have a budget. I mean, right now the government's explaining that they're like, oh, our debt crisis is far worse than we thought. And ouch. But if we pioneer in robots and AI, we will have such a renaissance of distribution of products, because we'll have local factories mass producing successful nodes developed by American mechanics. And then these robot parts will be shipped out into other countries, which will not only balance uh, the value of the dollar and all this stuff, but also sort of like in the opinion, like, did America ever really produce something? It's sort of like it's hard, it's like a big social shift, but for America to have self-esteem and confidence as if he was like competing with other kids. I mean, Randolph Pan Williams is it, man. It's Green Wolf, boom. Huge, huge impression on the Earth. The Earth is very excited about um, finally doing something for Pan of the Wild instead of asking Pan of the Wild to like cut off pieces of his body and just hit level the problem. All right, get this infection out. It was a huge, huge apocalypse, but it was all it was all internal, and so there's a lot of funny faces in America, a lot of strange looking people. Because we had to have those characters to figure out the Wittison to survive the apocalypse, and survive it we did with flying colors. And Trey Parker saw it all happen, man. It's intense. But I communicated with Trey before my bubble burst, and so there's sort of like a pendulum or a balancing rod there where we can actually reconfigure mankind and reconnect with the ascension through Trey Parker's chi. His achievement, boom, to develop and produce the Green Wolf. Powerful. Um, that's a powerful trial in life. And so it's for Trey to have that recognition and stuff. But I think, there's two sides of it. Like when I look at the government and the other people running, I see them talking in tongues. I see the government asking me to graduate, please, yes, I think that would be terribly relevant. A brilliant voice from our own government, I feel like I'm worried about Trey and other people because when they take this seriously and they're like, oh, so he wants to be a candidate, you'd go in here and start canoodling with these guys, and it's upsetting, man. If you try to go to the place where they're talking from, it's like it's really like, oh, you're talking about like this thing that is it's just what I'm sorry, but like I feel like I'm a presidential candidate, and when I see these guys, they look like systems of a nacho of that the government's having. Let's see if you guys remember the story. Long ago, there was a scientific revolution, like in the 60s, when they were discovering new particles. And it was like this huge celebration every time they found a new, like, boson or quark or something like that. It was a huge epiphany for them. And this would get announced on certain channels. And then in every major, like, laboratory or college of this and that. Students would just be running through the hallways going, they found another one, they found another quark, they found another boson. And that was so exciting for them. And what I'm anticipating here and what I'm talking about developing with Trey Parker is a series of films which would be like that. Would be this huge epiphany where kids are just like, they found another one, they found another amazing thing that we can attach to our body. If we can, do like the nose thing and the tailbone, talking about this and waggle sags and the five fingers. It's so much fun, and we just set it up so it's entertaining. Basically, Trey and I are talking about it, and then we cut from those epiphany moments, and then we have like a pillow where the people go up to the place where they can understand it, and then they make their application, and comfortable, they're on that pillow, and they're safe because they've like sort of voted, but they've sort of expressed themselves, they've had an experience, but they've also made an important mark, an indication of their own assertion about what that is. And that's about armoring ourselves up from within, being ourselves. Identity is, being a powerful identity now is the cure to the identity crisis of America. We have to be good fathers and leaders for these children, and they're all here paying attention and giving their breath and giving their heartbeats. We need to give them our very best. And so, producing Randolph Payne Williams, to me, I believe that is the best quality stuff that we can give to these people. Thank you. So, when we get to a point where I'm a VR director, and my method is sort of new, and you can see how opportunity just breathes here. I'm seeing how like there'll be other solutions. Trey will be like, well, I'm concerned about this and that, but I'm saying like the action of physically doing it causes that the spirit is then enlightened and receives the sort of inspiration where you're like, and then it solves itself. Okay, so I understand that I'm part of the true love seed dot that sort of fans out and breathes relief to all these different sides of humanity and different sides of the situation, and Earth specifically as a planet is actually just one person. So, I say Father Earth very seriously. I want to give Earth masculinity, um, so that he's not expected to perform as a female. Um, anyway, hmm. So that's what I'm seeing. It's like an epiphany for people and a revolution where people are sharing and are excited. I really wanted to emphasize that because I could really feel it. All of their hearts and their love and their excitement was just lifting me up and inspiring me while I was meditating today on my performance this hour. Thank you for joining me and working. This is hard work. It's a lot of material. I have complete confidence in Trey Parker. I'm excited about our movement forward. I'm not really sure what the problem is, but let's just remove the fake problems and begin working on the real problems. Removing Trump, cleaning up the trash island, getting away from harmful energies, speaking correctly, and performing as a parental unit that does expect foot traffic and does not perform as an indication of no idea or like we're inviting um, invasion or whatever. We need to stop doing that. We need to not be performing as a temptation, but we need to be performing as a good neighbor. And for America to master itself and perform this thing with Japan is like a meditation with Buddha, where we're growing up and ascending the right way. And that's why I need Trey Parker as the enzyme for the communication land physics to have the appropriate source code for robots and AI. And this is, of course, something that doesn't exactly exist at this time. It's something that Trey would only understand after physically doing it. And that's also new. But, this is a huge infected man block where Trey has to use his unicorn horn and blast that magic and sort of figure out that he's the only one who can do this because that's the reality. And that's also what the Wear map has explained to me is that Trey is the one potential who can who it's like I received a message in a bottle from a completed flat dimensional uh, level of self, and that doesn't usually happen. This is actually the first time that a human has been able to perform the map art, the wear map. Um, I will be a very specific director, but I need Trey to specifically be a very powerful producer. And Trey, how you would like to do this? Are you interested in having me out for an interview? So like we're not absolutely committing, but we want to detect is like real chemistry IRL, etc. I want to be the one actually building the units that we'll be performing inside of. Of course, that would take a lot of other people. Um, what I mean to say is like I don't want to just be saying like, okay, invent this and then we ship it off to some other company. I actually want us to be building the units because it's custom stuff. Because we want to be documenting the blinks. That we have to have fans. It's like we want people to be relaxed so that they can perform their voice and be profound for the camera. So I will be designing those units, and then we'll be working with technicians to make the programming work. But then, some people who work with different stuff, like Jim Henson stuff. You know, it's like a head unit, and then but it's all VR and like very light motion tracking suits. I want us to reinvent the entire climate. So when people see a picture of our recording studio, it's not that haggle-zag mishmash of, you know, empty triangles and X's and weird colors and dots all over the suits. And it's like such a ridiculous spectacle. It just screams, you know, they're what they want it to look like is they're they're trying to say we are the inaccessible technologically advanced bros we T-bone. I'm like, T-bone, please. You guys are so ridiculous. And the matter in fact, if you I don't know if you guys noticed that my elbows are twisted. That's in fact because my character, Master Source, when I modeled him, he was reaching out to embrace you. He's like a big hug from Master Source. Ooh, doo, 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 doo. He was a big hug bear, right? He had his arms out like this, but because I wasn't T-boning, like I had my arms like this, and so my elbows got stricken like this. Sorry about my gnarly wound, bro. This guy's like, oh, that's so gross. No, why does his elbow do that? So there's a story behind that. It's because of all the hugs. So anyway, I have a definite conflict with T-Bone, but those suits are ridiculous. Those gray suits with this like a mishmash of like, okay, some of it's visual, some of it's like 3D sensor. Well, you've just combined those two like antiquated styles to do nothing. Like, well, nothing new. I mean, they're doing the job that either of them on their own could do. But now it's like fucked because now they've got just with your cell phone, they'd be tracking your face and making that thing. It's like it's almost like it's like they're trying to remove the potential of what I'm talking about, like a serious recording studio where we are turning over blockbuster films in matters of weeks. Hmm. Exciting. We'll be renting out theaters and everything. Man, I'm jacked up for this. I'm fucking excited and tuned in. Um, and there are more like interesting details and secrets about Trey Parker and all this, but I'm hoping I've given you guys just enough that you can understand about that Earth is alive and has a voice and is concerned about the political view. Okay, there wouldn't be like double earthquakes just because Earth is not invested in this. Like, I think my assertion about there's like a danger time coming and that the communication is an enlightened thing before the flood to produce the green wolf is very good for America, and I feel it is spiritual and is important. It's like we represent actually a front line of enlightenment of like fairy languages and stuff that aren't able to physically operate at this time, but are like benched are like they like hone in on Trey Parker because like the warp of the fate line. Like if he produces the green wolf, then Earth will be able to speak. Oh, phew, and like we'll be able to pick up the garbage and afford robots and stuff. And it's real important actually. It actually equates to us being having the resilience to defend ourselves against potential invasion like thousands of years in the future. And but what I've done personally is given out the signal to not to make them think that their remote stance has been enough. And but really what we need to do is raise up this family. And that's a lot of work and it's heartfelt and it's genuine and there's going to be tears and there's going to be cheering and there's going to be love and excitement and laughter because of the blue wolf. Trey, you're really so important to me and I hope that you are experiencing a new level of your relationship with Earth and America. It's so cool. So the tray pan seed, invest those things rightly. Let us not be confused by difficult signs or harmful business. Refuse the false image, or uh, do not worship false idols. Well, there's a humdinger, right? Common sense, all right? Do those things, but then you also have to make the institution where you can hear from yourself. So Trey, do those things, and let's invest in those things, the heart things, and like, oh, I love America, I love Earth. This is so cool. I understand this is a very expensive ferry thing that needs to happen so that the kids can, you know, perfect robots and AI into the future. Trey is very much someone who perfected his Maverick style with the communication age, and I'm very much someone who perfected my Maverick style, which is also singular, or which is singular, but rather Trey. I see Trey as very singular, especially because I can see Trey as achieving these things. So I already see him as a type of singularity. Which is good it's very healthy for humanity to have that, but it's all about, Randolph Pan Williams awakening that system and allowing the wild pan to run for president. I love this country. It's amazing that this is possible. I mean, there's no other country that has like this style of government potential. You know, we want to find the evidence from within us. We don't want to wait for bad news to come out and be like, "Oh, okay, now we're going to produce him." Like, you guys, please don't wait longer. Try and understand, do the professional biz. I'm not telling you to do something you shouldn't do, but like you could. There's all sorts of avenues that we could do this, and I'm very confident about my interview. If you guys are like, "Well, we have a lot of questions, of course," and haha, so that's okay. Don't be afraid, and because I do feel that exhaustion is a problem. If we continue to wait and Pan is still performing and stuff, like, I'm not like, I think what would satisfy you at this point, like, you have this amount of information, it's not like you need more info. It's like if you actually use your hands and say, okay, we'll fly him out for a business meeting, we'll talk to him. Okay, for me, I would be like, oh yes, I've done it. I'm already there. But I do want to move out to California. I'm serious about all that. But if you guys want to start with just an interview and that sort of thing, I'm really hyped to meet you guys. I'm excited to talk with you all, and I really appreciate you guys, being interested in this and following along. And I hope that you've discovered that, you came into it with this like, this is so weird, but then you had this epiphany, and then you found something, and you had a discovery process where you found real treasure, and you're like, what? And it's exciting, but because you're related to Trey Parker, you know, you'll have like extra wizard potential and privileges. And so just be stalwart, be strong, and don't give in to those nightmares that try to burst your spirit. Like, there's in my walk while I was, you know, troubleshooting the spirit, I noticed I tracked a frontal lobe numbness where it was like I couldn't feel like the front of my I was like, ah, brr," and then like with meditation I began to, like, I could feel better, like, oh geez. And like sometimes there's like a little part, there's like a spot like in the core, like in my base of my brain, where sometimes it feels like a little tingly or numb, and then but we'll bear with me, bear with me. Anyway, I had to do this whole thing. So you guys armor up in your own one of a kind identity. Armor up. It contains it whoosh up to your skin level. Okay, so you're wearing armor. So here's the spooky thing: is because I like very rarely do I, the pan, find something which is like extremely amusing or like just, oh, that's such a great idea, and so it's actually this kind of scarce moment for my body to experience like extreme happiness. And so I I would discover something really happy, and I would go like, oh my gosh, and then I'd be going like, and then like 2 seconds it would get sniped, and you're like, pew, and then I'm like still going off with this huge grin on my face, and I'm like, haha, and you can see like a little tear like forming, you're like, where did my freaking joy go, right? But it's like a local base. It's like, well, it'd be like a gremlin. It'd be like a, you'd just be like, oh, nightmare, crunch. You just got to eat your Wheaties in the morning, whatever. It's fine. Like it's not a big deal. I'm just saying, like the feeling of like confidence, stamina, joy, the reassurance of that this is a good project are all things that could be dissuaded, but friendship can prevail. And here we are talking about it. So I'm just saying you guys, like it's real cool. And I've given you a hard time. I've been calling you names, and I know Trey doesn't want me to tell you guys about how your opportunity as a wizard is to just be a really strong part of this team. Okay, but I think you understand it. Trey understands it. Okay, Trey Pan Seed. Trey is doing the right thing there and dissolving our Pan's foibles. We know, yeah, yeah. So it's all right, you guys. We're gonna just neutralize that and breathe the health and the immortality in, and we breathe out the bad stuff, right? All the bad stuff goes out. Boop. All right. Thank you, South Park Studios. I love you guys, and you've really cheered me up. I feel like a lot better, a lot more. I don't know. We've just made progress together. It's as simply as fact as that. And it's sort of like I had to go on this journey with Trey in order to discover the golden statues. But after I discovered the golden statues, I was like, oh, this opens up. And I'm just saying that pattern will continue, and there'll be like answers where we complete this and then that and then that. And it's just going to keep going like that. And this is sort of pattern of energy and goodness, the will of Earth, Earth's actual identity, Earth's actual stamina, Earth's boys rising up a mighty stamina of identity and personal armor, which equates the encryption value to our computers, our robots and AI. Find security in the identity stabilized, in the stable identity of Americans. So when we raise up America, we suddenly have security. And the government doesn't understand that, and the government is antiquated. So we need to overhaul this and not be fooled by these other people who are running for president. And they, being an adult in this situation is not to look at their meager attempts and be like, oh, producing a green candidate would be distracting to these guys' hopes to remove the Trump. It's already the logic is too separate. Being a reasonable adult and paying attention to this here and now is to fathom the potential and understand, can we do something good for America? Can we give them health food? Boom, that. So, well, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. And I just want to say, you guys haven't done anything wrong, and it's not like you have your it's more like a consent thing. It's like America is telling me I need to go through Trey Parker to understand how to represent America. Thank you, Trey Parker. Thank you, Matt Stone. Please believe that America is ready for this and find the strength within you to produce Randolph Pan Williams. Thank you. True love is the answer. It is good. Is good. Thank you. Yeah. Hope and life and health and armor up. The best to you and yours. I love you guys. Thank you so much. It is good.